Hello, hello. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first episode of the Fantasy on Tap podcast, sponsored by the Fantasy Six Pack. I'm your host, Eric Sonnier. Um, I'm here with my co-host Blake Gambino. It's my boy, Blake. Let's jump into it. Tell me about yourself, dude.
All right. Well, from Louisiana, went to LSU. Currently, just working a job, working at FedEx. But I'm still a great fantasy player on the side. Been playing fantasy since 2007, and I guess I just feel like my qualifications are I've won some big money leagues. Some $1,500 pots, few 2-3 leagues, couple leagues you're in that you also have won. So I think that gives me the qualifications to talk about fantasy, and I'm just ready to make this mock draft with you. Get this first round down. Get this
I
first
like it.
episode out of the way, huh?
I like it. I like it. Well, yeah, I was in a couple of those leagues. Like I said before, I'm Eric Sonnier. I'm from Hammond, Louisiana. I've been playing fantasy since about 2013 when me and Blake met back in college. Back in those days at LSU, those were some good days. I won a few championships just like him. I'm not in that league anymore, but maybe one day we'll go back to it. Um,
That's for another episode. All right.
yeah, well, that's a whole
Comment
that,
down
that could be
below
a
if you want to hear that story.
that could be a whole episode within itself. You never even have to know about that. But
All
before
right.
we get started, um, I'd like to go ahead and thank Fantasy Six Pack for letting us have our own platform. You want to tell them a little bit about them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good website. It's going to have all your type of. It's going to have not even just fantasy football, but baseball, basketball, definitely fantasy football is what we're going to be working on. And if you go to fantasy6pack.net/plans, you can go ahead and join up on the site and have access to all of our premium content, most rankings, DFS, betting projections, advice, Discord. Jump in the Discord, and yeah, that's what we're here for. So we're gonna get through this mock draft, and hopefully we'll see what you guys like. Maybe you'll hate some of our picks, love some of our picks. Maybe we'll throw something crazy at them, huh? I mean, what do you say?
Always let us know. That's all I want to know. I want feedback from this episode. This is our first episode, people. So I just want to give you a little introduction about what our show is going to be like going forward. This is going to be a fantasy podcast. We're going to talk about dynasty. We're going to talk about keeper leagues, just regular redraft leagues, just anything and everything fantasy. Twice a week. We're going to try to do 2 episodes for you guys each week. This week, since it's still a little early with the draft coming up this week, we're going to just do a full first round mock draft. Give you some guys that we think that we like. Hopefully, I mean, you never know. We might get all 31 picks right. You never really know because it should be 32, but the Dolphins, they forfeited that.
Way to go, Dolphins! Yeah, that was something. I
But
guess real
we did.
quick, we should probably jump in too, since this is pretty breaking news. Even though you'll be watching this tomorrow, the Jets and the Packers finally made that trade for Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers is going to the
Finally,
Big Apple.
it's kind of like a
What do you-
foregone conclusion at that point, huh? We already kind of knew that was going to happen.
It kind of
Uh,
seems like it was going to happen after the draft, though, right? I mean, with it coming up, I mean, the draft's in 2 days, and now they're finally doing it. It just, I don't know. I was really feeling like they were going to wait, maybe let the Jets draft him somebody and have him trade him to the Packers.
right.
So
If there's anything we found out about Aaron Rodgers is he likes attention. So draft week coming up, all these rookies are getting ready. He's got to make a little bit about Rodgers. He's only got a couple
for
years left. He's
sure,
got to do something.
that is
So
very
like as you said, we do have a lot of picks, so we might as well just go ahead and start into it. I have it pulled up on the screen so that you guys can follow along with us. If Blake would be so kind to put that up there.
all right. Let's
So this
tap
is
that in.
this is what we're going to do. We're just going to go through these people, each team, make a pick. I'm going to start it off. I want the coin toss, so I get the first pick. So I think this one's going to be pretty easy, self-explanatory. I'm going to go ahead and say Bryce Young. Um, the dude's a stud. I mean, that's just all we got to say about him. One of the most accomplished quarterbacks in college football. Seems like a pretty easy pick for what the Panthers need.
I mean, I would say a comp for him is a super athletic Drew Brees, right?
It's pretty good to
He's got
me.
the accuracy, pretty good arm strength. I mean, it's just about can he stand up to the pressure with the being 5'10", 5'11", So, but hey, he went to Alabama, so we know he's had the pro offense, and sucks that the Panthers are getting the what we would consider a stud because they're in the Saints division. We're Saints fans, but
We
I
did
think
not
Camp
mention that as we
Jordan.
were both.
Right. I think Cam Jordan would love to put a couple sacks on maybe get to the top of the Saints all-time sack
There you go.
leaderboard, you know.
All right. Second on the clock, we got Houston. What you going, dude?
All right. Second on the clock. Here's what I'm thinking. A lot of people are saying they should pick Stroud, maybe even Levis, Richardson's on the board, you know. But I'm thinking they got D'Amico Ryans as the coach. He's a defensive guy. They're not going anywhere this year. And guess who's coming next year? Right? You know his name. You know the guy. Caleb Williams, USC. I want the Saints to go 0-17 and get him, honestly. He's great. You know, I want him. But it's probably not going to happen. So I'd say right now we're getting Houston Texans taking Will Anderson, number one guy on the board, number one overall prospect. You know, they're going to do what they need to do so they can get Caleb Williams next year. That's what I think. CJ Stroud, good dude, you know, but are any of those guys, when you know there's another guy coming and you're probably going to be high at the top of the draft, are you really going to, you know, take a swing at one of these dudes who aren't like for sure guys? I'm thinking Caleb Williams is a for sure guy, like a Joe Burrow, you know. He's going to be a good guy in the league, I'm feeling. So for me, it's the Texans taking Will Anderson.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I think Will Anderson's a beast. I think he's going to have a great career. I mean, he's got the size. He reminds me a little bit of Devin White, but honestly, he's a little better. I think he's got the range. I think he's going to be all right. Going up to the next one,
Devin White.
we got Arizona Cardinals next. You know, they got Kyler Murray. I don't see a reason that they would need a quarterback. So I think CJ Stroud and all them are going to fall a little bit farther. I think the logical pick here would be Jalen Carter, but with all these accusations going around, do you want to waste a third pick in the draft on him? So I'm going to go with the next best edge rusher. I'm going to say Tyree Wilson for the Texas Tech. He's long, he's fast. I think he's going to have a great career.
Looking at this dude, I mean, he looks like a stud. He just looks like your prototypical, like, going to just go sack the quarterback. I think it's a great pick. You know, with the Cardinals especially having some decent offensive weapons, they really need to have some defense over there so they don't have to have your boy throwing 35 times a game. Even though that was their offense for a while, I just think when you got a 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" quarterback, you might want to run the ball a little bit and have a good defense, you know. Run that.
I think Kyler's going to be out for a little while too, so I think they're going to need some protection for a little bit. You know, I think what their backup Colt McCoy, so I think he's going to be, you know, not doing too well. So I think they're going to need their defense to set up, and I think Tyree Wilson will bring them there. So Indianapolis, man, what you thinking?
All right, for Indianapolis, you know, it's almost as similar to the Texans you would think, but the Colts kind of have a crazy team going on over there, you know, like an organization as it is. So I'm really thinking you got CJ Stroud and you got, click on that QB tab for me. You got CJ Stroud and you got Will Levis on the board, even Anthony Richardson. I mean, I don't really think anybody's reaching at 3 for him. So I'm going to say that the Indianapolis Colts are taking Will Levis. Seriously. I mean, he's your prototypical big, you know who's a good comp for him? But maybe not now, but Carson Wentz, dude. I mean, he's going to want to truck dudes. He's going to want to throw it deep. He's not going to try to avoid contact. He's got, I mean, if he had some weapons, I think he would have had a decent year last year. You know, if you think who he was throwing to at Kentucky last year, it wasn't nobody that's getting drafted this year. I'll tell you that. Okay, so
no, I think you're absolutely right. I think he's. I actually was reading something earlier today that said the Colts are either going to draft Will Levis at 4 or trade down if they don't get him. So I think they're going to get him there, and it's going to be an easy, quick pick.
And now we got CJ Stroud sliding right here, man. I can't believe it because I do think he's a good prospect, you know, but
I do too. I think CJ Stroud is really nice, but I really think he is going to fall. I think him and Anthony Richardson are both going to fall farther than people think. I mean, we all thought, what's his name, Malik Willis last year was going to be a first-round pick. I think he went like the 3rd. So it always happens, you know.
Did not look very good in the few games he played last year either. So he looked pretty lost. Agreed. And I think that's what they say about these Ohio State. That's what people want to say about Ohio State quarterbacks. They have all these stud linemen, wide receivers, tight ends, and so they think they're getting kind of fed too easy. But that happens at Alabama too, and those guys come out. Mac Jones played pretty well, you know, a couple of years ago. So I think Will Levis. Do I think he's going to be great for fantasy stats this year? Probably not, but I think that's the pick they're going to make.
You never know, though. I mean, he's got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman. He's got some weapons. It can happen. You never know. That's all I can say. Nobody knew that Josh Allen's going to be Josh Allen, and he's pretty good. So, moving on, we've got the Seahawks next. I think with the fact that they just paid Geno, I have been reading some reports that they might want to do a quarterback, but I just don't see that happening. They just gave this dude some money. The Seahawks really aren't that horrible. So I think that they're going to go ahead and shore up that offensive line. And, I mean, you can't really go wrong with the number one offensive tackle in the draft. So I'm going to go ahead and say Peter Skoronski. They need to go ahead and save that up, get that running game going with Kenneth Walker. They got to have some protection for Geno because, I mean, he's never really been that great. So he does need, a couple more seconds to throw the ball. So I think that's the pick.
I don't hate that pick. And look, if it wasn't O-line, I think it would be D-line. You got to get in the trenches. Absolutely. That's really what it is in the NFL.
We could have put Jalen Carter there, but like I said, I think he's going to fall just because teams are scared of what's going on with his personal life.
Real quick, if you just want what's going on with that, if you want to fill in the listeners on what we know.
He's the one that is in trouble or was in trouble right before the combine with he was the one drag racing. And
right, yeah, they caught him with the drag racing. That's true.
They caught him at the drag racing where that trainer and that player, I think it was a player, maybe died, right? I mean, in that same night, and he had like a couple of different stories of what happened, and they all, nobody was really going to know what the truth is. But
right, and he wasn't in an accident, but he did technically flee the scene knowing that they crashed. So that's kind of, you hate to speculate on those things, but
absolutely, we don't know the whole story. But that's good. I mean, you never really know anything in the NFL draft. But as soon as with a top 5, top 10 pick, you don't want to waste any. You don't want to have any.
Yeah, watch him go number 1. I mean, the dude's that good. So it's like one of those things. They're like, we'll take him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Detroit Lions, you're on the clock.
Detroit Lions. Okay, man. Speaking of Jalen Carter, right? I mean, one thing I'll say is that they've been playing pretty well with Jared Goff. He fits kind of what their offensive mold is, what they want to be doing, running the ball, not turning the ball over. So I'm not going to say they're going to take a quarterback, even though I've got quarterback on 4th in their needs. But let's go right where we were talking, because it's the Lions. Let's be real, okay? Jalen Carter, he's coming off the board. Carter. I think Campbell's over there. Yeah, Saints over there. Saints old guy Campbell's the head coach. He's over there. He's building a good culture, So I think they're going to bring that guy in. People make mistakes, all right? He made a mistake, but they're going to bring that dude in. I think they're going to coach him up. I think he's going to be a stud. It's all about your organization, So, and I think Detroit's trying to build a good, solid, good culture over there. That's what they like. How that in the NBA they say heat culture. I think it's going to be like that. They're trying to build a good, solid culture. So that's my pick. Jalen Carter off the board.
There you go. So we got the Raiders coming up next. And this is where it gets tough. The first kind of like 4 or 5 picks are easy picks. People are going to listen to this and be like, oh, well, they just, there's some scrubs. They don't know what's going on over there. Well, the Raiders, I still think that the CJ Stroud slide is going to fall. I don't think that the Raiders are going to go for a quarterback right now. I think they could be one of those teams that are going to wait for Caleb Williams, like we were saying. So I think they're going to go best cornerback available, the best DB available, and that's going to be this Devon Witherspoon guy. He didn't play a lot of talent over there in Illinois, but when you have the intangibles of that, I can't really see how you can miss on a player like that. He's fast, he's long, he's got the measurements to be a good corner in the NFL.
Yeah, Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez. I mean, it's a coin flip, but especially with what scheme you want to play, like I think it's a coin flip for those guys. So Devin Witherspoon, that's a solid pick. I like that.
All right, what you think? Atlanta, the failed Browns. Oh, I'm just kidding. The Falcons.
The Falcons. I tell you what, I if it was going to be crazy, if we were going to say what something crazy was going to happen, I could see the Falcons taking Bijan Robinson right here. Ooh. It's not who I'm going to say, but just if that happens, you can come back to right here at 14 minutes and say Blake said that they might pick Bijan Robinson. Because, look, they took a tight end at the 4th pick last year, And not to say your dude's not good, but,
I've been seeing some notes that they might take him. I think they need a lot more than just a running back. But, if they took him as a dynasty owner with the first pick in the draft, I will be very upset. But It is what it is.
You're not
So
gonna. You know, that's it. That's the one thing you have to know in fantasy too. If you're a fan of a certain team and you got your team in the division with another great player, I mean, you just got to pick that dude because even if you don't like the team, that guy's going to put up some stats most likely. That's why he's high. That's why he's a high draft pick.
Absolutely,
So
and that dude's a freak.
I'll definitely be picking him if I can in any fantasy league, even if he goes to the Falcons. I think the guy's going to be a really good offensive player, especially for fantasy.
So what you thinking? Atlanta. What are they? Who are they taking?
Man, kind of talked myself into Bijan Robinson right there, but let's see. I'm looking at these edge rushers they got, and they really need to get some pressure on the quarterback. That was part of their problem why they were getting beat at the end of games because they really could not pressure the quarterback. I mean, people were throwing all over him. Jameis Winston.
I was at that first game of the season last year. Yeah.
I mean,
I was at that game, and it was crazy.
If he gets pressure in his face, we would have lost that game.
Oh,
so
absolutely. Any kind of pressure.
Right, and they already took our defensive tackle on Yamada, right?
Yep.
So they're trying to shore up the defensive line. I'm going to go right here. Miles Murphy, edge Clemson. Yeah, I'm seeing the Lucas Van Ness slide. Not because he's not good, but I'm just feeling the slide on him. I can't tell you why.
A lot of other teams need other things. That's why I think he's going to fall.
Yeah. So right now we're looking at C.J. Stroud he's really falling.
He still isn't picked. And I think these next couple teams have quarterbacks. I don't see them picking him either. We got Chicago coming up next. If you even watch any Chicago game or had Justin Fields on your team last year, you know that he was running for his life every game, all game. Mm-hmm. So you got to go ahead and take the best available offensive lineman, I would say. And that's going to be Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. I mean, he's a highly ranked player. He's going about right where he should. And I think that's a good pick for them.
If you look at this guy's body, he is a prototypical tackle. I mean, he's got long arms, and he's looking to push guys around, So I think put that guy on the edge, either edge, left, right, blind side, don't matter. He's going to be in there. I think you plug him in first day of spring training,
Absolutely. They just signed a receiver. They signed didn't they just sign a running back too? Yeah, they got Dante Foreman. They got DJ Moore now too. I think they're the Chicago Bears are on the way up. So
now, if they didn't pick him, I could see Christian Gonzalez. The Bears have always been known for having a defense, so I could see them picking Gonzalez because it's still another corner that's pretty highly rated. They could use some defensive back help too. But I do like where you're going with that. It'd be nice, I think for young quarterbacks especially to have that really solid offensive line. It really makes sitting back there and making the reads makes you a little less nervous,
Exactly, and that's what Justin Fields needs.
6'7" dude blocking for you. Come on.
Exactly, and that's what Justin Fields needs to improve on his throwing. So if he wants to do that, he needs some help back there. Put him on the board. Now we're at the Eagles. The pick that the Saints should have had. Traded it away. I love Chris Olave. Hopefully that I'm going to keep telling myself that he's going to be good. So we got the losers of the Super Bowl on the board. Shout out to Marlon.
Super Bowl losers. All right, this is my pick, huh?
Yep.
I got all the even picks, right? I mean, look.
I know who I would pick at this pick. I really think they're going to take Bijan. That's who I think they're going to pick. I mean, what else do the Eagles need? Be real with yourself here. I mean, and then he only took 2 visits to the Eagles and the Bucs, and I think the Bucs need a whole lot more than a running back. So that's what I think. Imagine that the best running back prospect since Saquon going to the best offense in the league from last year. I mean,
look, we're not doing. I'm a little behind on my picks here, Bears, and we're not doing trades or anything. So I do see some people maybe trading up if they really think Bijan's going right here. But I'm gonna go out of left field right here because how did Philly lose the Super Bowl last year? They were putting up points. They need some defense. So I'm going Christian Gonzalez. This dude is a stud. Okay, he's going to be a great corner. We're talking not Sauce Gardner rookie year, but I mean, I'm looking at guys not even trying to throw to him, and they already have
Slate and Bradbury.
Yeah, exactly. So you maybe move Bradbury into the slot, especially if you're playing the Chiefs again in the Super Bowl, And then now you got this guy out here on the other boundary, and man. I think they win the Super Bowl if they got another stud corner, Come on.
Absolutely. So we got the Tennessee Titans here, and I think they are going to be overjoyed because, Ryan Tannehill just isn't it. C.J. Stroud just fell out of the top 10. I don't see him passing 11. I mean, he's not going to slide that far. Let's be real here. He might not even make it to 11. I think that's we're looking at worst case scenario for him. But
Number one on their list
here. Yeah, I mean he's
QB.
They had no idea that he was going to fall to 11, and now they're excited because they just got one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. I think C.J. Stroud is good. I mean, I think he didn't really play a lot of talent. I'm the SEC believer. I don't really think that, Ohio State plays anybody, but I thought that until New Year's Eve when he played against Georgia, who have one of the best defense of all time. I mean, let's be real there. And he played well. It's not his fault that they lost that game. They should have won.
I was just about to say that, yeah. He was making some throws. Nice. He was making some grown man throws. Absolutely. And I don't care really much about all these tests that they try to give these guys. I do think, here and there it can be pretty meaningful when a guy doesn't score well on these tests. But we're looking at a gamer, dude. We're looking at a guy who gets out there and wants to throw the ball to a guy that's open. I think he's got the eyeballs to be able to say, that guy's open, I'm throwing to him. He's got the mechanics. Absolutely. He's got the arm strength. He can move in the pocket. I think he's a pretty solid pick right here, especially when you look at my only hesitancy on that pick would be they picked Malik Willis, who also played for Ohio State the year before, and so they might have Ohio State fatigue on quarterback. But other than that, I'd say great pick. If C.J. Stroud, a guy who many predicted to go first or second in the draft, dropping to 11, you don't even have to move up for him.
Absolutely.
Tennessee.
I think that's
A+ on that pick.
All right, number 12, Houston Texans are back on the clock. What do you got?
Now, this is where the Texans are thinking to themselves, we almost got Will Anderson and then had C.J. Stroud drop right to us, because there's no way you're getting Stroud at 2 and Anderson at 12.
No, right,
so they really almost had something great fall into their lap. I'm telling you what, though, looking at these guys, I'm feeling like they have to take somebody on the line, right? O-line. What are you thinking?
I think they're all. My biggest needs is what I was saying was quarterback, wide receiver, and then just defense in general. Defensive line. I mean, Dameon Pierce rushed a lot of yards last year. I think their offensive line went terrible enough to where they have to
roll this up a little bit for me on the.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So you're saying they should? You're looking at, but I like this guy down here, Georgia Broderick. What's his name? It's a little high for him, but you can never be too early building a good offensive line.
He's a 2-time national champion. You can't be mad about it.
Yeah. Look, he was protecting old boy at Georgia for 2 national championships.
He was making an average quarterback look above average, I can say. So here we go. This is our only one trade we're going to do in this mock draft because it happened before we started. The Green Bay Packers jumped up just 2 spots, got rid of their cancer Aaron Rodgers, you'd say. I love Aaron Rodgers, people. I'm just talking. So Green Bay is on the clock. They need a lot. I mean, I think it would be poetic for the Packers to take a receiver right here.
Finally, right? I was thinking that too.
They'd finally take a receiver. They get the best guy on the board, Jackson Smith, Nick Jigba. Help their rookie quarterback out, man. I mean, they just got to do it.
Yeah. Especially after losing Devontae Adams, for sure.
Right. 14, got the Patriots on the board, man. Where are we going? Patriots they're the most hidden mystery of the.
I mean, if I could make a trade here, it would definitely be the Patriots trade back and get 3 extra picks for something. But what I'm thinking the Patriots are going to do, actually, I have right here: offensive tackle, cornerback, and edge. Okay, our best edge player and our best cornerback. We got Joey Porter Jr., son of Joey Porter. Okay, the old Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker. But I'm thinking right here, they like these guys. These tough dudes from the middle of the country. Luke Van Ness, edge rusher. Okay.
I was thinking the same. They like them big corn-fed dudes.
What I was thinking. When I said Midwest, I meant corn-fed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Those dudes are eating since they were little. That's a big boy, and I think he's going to be great. So, moving on, back to that trade again. We're back to the Jets. The Packers jumped up 2 spots, got rid of their 4-time MVP. What do these guys need? They got a 40-year-old quarterback now. They're going to need offensive line.
Yeah, on that.
Let's go ahead and see. We got these guys here. Darnell Wright. See, I'm not really well versed in the offensive line. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I'm just gonna pick, like I was telling you earlier, I want to pick the best available SEC guy because they can handle it. So we're gonna go ahead and go Darnell Wright.
Broderick Jones, they probably feel sniped right there with me picking Broderick Jones for New England.
Absolutely.
I mean, for the Jets,
Absolutely. So now we're moving on. Pick 16, Washington Commanders. Don't get that wrong. Who are you taking?
All right, Washington Commanders. Man, it's. You'd think they'd want a quarterback. They don't really have anybody you're too high on. You got a couple of maybe Sam Howell might be a backup, and you got your other guy who's a career backup that'll probably start this year. Man, this is a tough one. I don't think they're going to take Bijan Robinson. They could use some DB help. What do you
Joey
think?
Porter, dude. Dude's a beast. We got a lot of good players left on the board. If this falls like this, I mean, I'm feeling good at Saints at 29.
I agree with that. Yeah, I guess give us Joey Porter Jr. Man, I mean, look, you can never have too many good corners on your team. So
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, Joey Porter's son. The dude's long. He's fast. He's going to be a good cornerback. I mean, you don't go in the first round and not be good.
I think his comp is if Joey Porter played cornerback. If
Right.
he was fast, if he was fast
Right.
enough. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now we're going to the Steelers. We got Pittsburgh at 17. They need help on defense. We're just going to go ahead and go best available cornerback on their board, and you get Deontay Banks. The dude is nice. He's long. He hasn't played a lot of that talent, like I've been saying. He's playing at Maryland. They don't play nobody. But there's certain positions that you can look past, especially the fast ones. We're going to go ahead and go cornerback.
Yep. I mean, look, gotta get what you can get right there. There's not in this draft, actually, I think, according to like Kuiper and those guys, there's only like 23, I think, guys that are first round graded. And there's 31 picks. So, I mean, you're already going to have to start reaching sooner or later. And a couple of those guys we can see are Anthony Richardson. We really think he's going to go in the first round? Not so sure. So, you're already starting to reach kind of into those second round grades for a first round player. So,
absolutely. So what you think? I think with the Lions coming up on the board, it's your pick. They already went Jalen Carter, one of the best defensive players on the board. Do they stick with defense or what do you think?
And if you get Jalen Carter in your interior D line, and you have Nolan Smith being your Micah Parsons guy who's just running around playing linebacker, rushing off the edge. I mean, I want Nolan Smith to drop down to the Saints. I think that would be a great pick, but I kind of like that. It's just the only thing now with these wide receivers all getting suspended for the gambling stuff.
Right.
Do they want to?
I think their receivers are stacked. I think that would be crazy to go there. They traded Hawkinson. They did trade their tight end. So we still have a couple of high. I was reading earlier that this is the deepest class for tight ends. They have at least 2 first round tight ends that people are saying are going to go. That's a possibility there. I mean, you can never go wrong with defense. Just keep shoring up that defense. I mean, what are you thinking?
QB O line. That's what I got written on here. And D line. They already took their D line. There's not really reaching this because they got another pick at 48, so they don't really need to go for any of these guys that aren't first round grades. I mean, look, it's a tough call. What you think? I think Nolan Smith, I guess. I mean, right? It's pair up two dudes. Look at that, A+ when you picked
absolutely
A+. I mean,
like you said, they have Dan Campbell. I mean, he's a defensive coordinator. I mean, let's just be real. He's probably going to go there. So Tampa Bay back on the board. Just lost Tom Brady. Just lost a few more things.
But they picked up Baker Mayfield, dude. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right, correct. Baker Mayfield. I mean, they're back to the cellar where they belong. We hate the Bucs. I don't care where they go. I hope they pick this guy. I hope they pick Anthony Richardson. I'm not a fan of him. I don't like to talk bad about people.
Board, yeah.
I don't like to talk bad about people, but I'm an LSU fan as well, and I've seen how he played it for Florida. I don't see it. He's big like Cam Newton, sure, but Cam Newton won college games. You know what I mean? Cam Newton didn't wait till week 5 to throw his first touchdown. Cam Newton was very good at football in college.
Won a national championship.
This dude's big and tall and fast. I think he could be good, I guess, but I actually watched him play last year. He's not very good at throwing. He can run very fast. I mean, he could be a Justin Fields type, but I hope and pray the Bucs do take him, honestly.
Yeah, if he's not going to be any good, for sure. I'm with you on that. I think his a lot of people want to try to comp him to like I don't want to say Mahomes, but I mean, because he's got such a strong arm, but I just haven't seen like crazy accuracy out of this dude, and I don't think Josh Allen's like a wonderkind. There's not a lot of guys who have terrible accuracy that really change it up, fix their mechanics, and become more accurate, So if you're not throwing accurately right off the jump, then I'm going to have to go with you probably won't be that accurate in your career. So I don't mind that pick. Anthony Richardson off the board.
Another team back. Coming up. Seattle's back again. Another team with a second pick in the first round. What are you thinking? They need a lot. D-line, O-line. I think they're not a bad team, but they got some.
Man, they got that offensive tackle too. I mean, that dude's going to be a beast. Like I've been saying so far, the trenches matter, but there's not any trench guys in this top. Scroll me down right here a little bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, Kalijah Cansey, that dude's a beast. Brian Breezy. They're not going to shore up the O-line that much and get Osiris Torrance, I don't think. Let's say this. Let's say they're going to get a little freaky, because your boy's getting he's not getting old, but I mean he's not young either. The wide receiver, the little wide receiver. So let's say they're gonna go with Zay Flowers. Bit of a reach here, but right in front of the Chargers. Now look, the Chargers were looking for a wide receiver, so
they are
right in front of the Chargers. I like that pick. Get some weapons for that guy, If you're gonna give him a prove it deal, give him some weapons to prove it, right?
I think that's going to be somebody the Chiefs are going to look to trade for. I was reading something about that earlier, but as it sits, we're not doing trades. So, yeah, I think that is a good spot for him. Moving on to the Chargers, though, I think that here at 21 is Bijan Robinson's floor. They're not going to re-sign Eckler.
He requested that trade, right? So that's kind of where
he requested it. So I think he's gone. So, I mean, why not pair the best running back prospect in a long time with one of the best young quarterbacks in the league right now and take Bijan Robinson? He's a beast.
Yeah, if you're getting sniped on your wide receiver, you were looking at too. Not saying I don't like Quentin Johnson, but, I really think Bijan Robinson, you can put that guy in the slot. He's a Kamara type a little bit, Saquon Barkley type, he can run a couple of routes. He's not just going to go between the tackles and run straight. So I think
their LT guy
right there. I like that pick.
Baltimore Ravens, pick 22. We're actually starting to fly a little bit, so who are we taking?
Yeah, we sped through a couple of picks there. I think that I have wide receiver listed as their number one.
Me as well. I mean, they got Odell Beckham. He's kind of old. And Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I love OBJ. Bateman's actually nice too. It's a tough one. I think with they would have liked to get Bijan Robinson too if they would have if he would have fell to him right there, right? Because they got a lot of running backs. They run the ball a lot, but those guys also get injured a lot. Here's what I'm thinking: they run a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets. All right, this dude Dalton Kincaid is a monster. All right, he's fast. He can block. I think he fits their offense really well.
Even with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely?
Yeah, and guess what? They're going to have to pay a lot of those dudes. When you pick a guy in the first round, you get that extra fifth-year team option, okay? That's a cheap guy. So guess what? They can keep Isaiah Likely and maybe trade Mark Andrews in a year or two because I think they already paid him, right? I mean –
I think so. I'm not 100% on that, though.
Yeah.
I think they should have by now, yeah. So you think Dalton Kincaid?
I'm liking that pick because as much as I want to go maybe one of these defenders and stuff because their defense was a little suspect last year, I think the more weapons you can add for a guy like Lamar Jackson, once you finally pay the guy, I think they should pay him. The more weapons you can add for a guy like him, I mean, look what he did. He won the MVP with not a lot of weapons. So, I mean, if you're adding weapons, you might not even need that great of a defense. I think Lamar Jackson's is a great I don't think he's the most accurate quarterback, but I do think he plays his role as the QB that he is very well. MVP status for sure.
For sure. Minnesota Vikings on the clock. Just lost Adam Thielen. All they have is, just Jordan Jefferson. Justin Jefferson. Who's that guy, right? They still need somebody. He can't do it all by himself. I think they're going to take Quentin Johnson or Jordan Addison. It's either one of those. Both of them are pretty good. I think I'm going to go with the longer guy. I'm going to go Jordan Addison.
Yeah, a lot of the wide receiver talent this year is like under 6 feet. I've noticed. I mean, we've got guys that are in the second round that are running 4.5s that are 6'3", and I'm just like, how are they not ahead of these shorter. You know, these guys are 5'9", 5'10", and that's like with the way they measure guys these days. You know, so like
Right, they give him a couple inches.
yeah, that's I do agree with you though. Especially after losing old dude Thielen, however you say his name, I think they definitely should pick up a wide receiver. And I enjoy it. I don't hate that pick.
Yeah, 24.
Jordan Addison out
Jacksonville
of
Jaguars.
USC.
One of the most impressive teams to me right now is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Got a stud quarterback. They got their stud running back. They got a couple stud receivers. What do they need? You tell me.
Let's see. What do I have written here? Cornerback, edge, or a wide receiver tight end. So
They do have Evan Ingram though too. Don't forget him. Dude came along.
he
We
actually
all knew he was
did.
gonna be
That is
good.
true.
He finally got good. I don't know what it took, why he wasn't good in the Giants, but I mean he came on hard with the Jags this year. I think he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, I mean it could have just been that that Daniel Jones guy. You know, who knows?
Yeah,
I saw
hey,
stat the other day.
paid.
Yeah, I saw a stat the other day that they had 45 plays of over 30 plus yards last year, and that was last in the league. And the Chiefs had like 85. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean they definitely need. I think, yeah, I definitely think that's a serious thing to talk about there. So who is Jacksonville picking? Is there any corners on the?
Let's see.
Here's what I'm thinking with them. What next corners up?
Mississippi State.
Keely Ringo.
Forbes.
Oh, Cam Smith though. I kind of like Cam Smith. Here's what I'm thinking though. Last year, Jaguars got the second most pressures in the league. Okay, they got the second most pressures in the league compared to they were tied with only the Eagles. Right, the Eagles had like 70 sacks. Jacksonville, 35 sacks. So guess what? That means they were getting pressure, but their corners weren't covering anybody. So I'm thinking they need to get a corner here. I'm not going to go with Forbes, though. I'm going to go Cam Smith. I like this dude. I've been watching some of his tape. Like we said, there's not a lot of first-round grades here, so I don't think it's too much of a reach when you're getting a guy who's going to just lock down a side of the field for you, hopefully. And that's what I kind of feel like with Cam Smith. I mean, we saw him last year against LSU. Not a bad player, pretty quick on his feet, nice vertical, those type of measurables, you know. So I like that pick right there, Cam Smith.
Definitely not bad. And like you said, one of those SEC guys. You always like to pick those.
Mm-hmm.
New York Giants. New York Football Giants are on the clock. They are crazy. They have their quarterback, you know, if that's what they want to call him. I don't think he's that great. But, you know, he didn't have a bad year. I mean, he's a $100 million man. I don't know who am I to judge. I don't make that. So they're going to sign Saquon. But who do they have a receiver? You know, I mean, they have Sterling Shepard. He's always hurt. They got Rondale Robinson. He's kind of small. He's pretty good, though. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But I think they go best wide receiver available, which is Quentin Johnson from TCU. Dude's good. I think he'll
look at the drop off after that too. So if we're right as we're going, these next couple of teams coming up, Buffalo, Cincy, New Orleans, Philly, Kansas City, they might be seeing that wide receiver drop off and might want to jump up in the real draft since me and you aren't doing trades, you know. Fantasy on tap, we're not doing trades here, okay? Because that's a lot to think about.
It's so much to think about. And you know the Saints like to jump up there and grab stupid people.
We'll give you two first.
Give you way too much money for these crazy guys, so be on the lookout for the Saints to come up at this point. Now, moving on. Division rival of the Giants, actually. Dallas Cowboys, America's football team to hate. Who are they picking?
America's football team to hate. I love it. All right. I've got tight end because they got rid of your boy.
They did.
Running back because they got rid of your other boy, Ezekiel Elliott. And then some D tackles and O-line, too, you know. Their O-line used to be
he's pretty good.
I do love Pollard, but nowadays it's a 2 running back league. Everybody's handcuffing, you know. It's really, especially for fantasy, that feels like how it is. There's very few 3-down running backs, and guess who went? Bijan Robinson, who could maybe be the only 3-down guy in the draft. Okay, absolutely. So I'm looking at these tight ends, and I'm thinking this Michael Mayer guy maybe. Let's see who else we got. Is there any?
I've seen Michael Mayer go in the first round. I've seen Darnell Washington go in the first round. Like if you want to get a little weird, Sam Laporta.
I don't want to snipe the Saints though, because I really want the Saints maybe to pick this Florida guy, this Florida O lineman. But I could see if they don't pick this tight end, I could see them taking the old lineman from Florida, Cyrus.
Gotta be impartial, dude. Gotta be impartial. We're Saints fans, but let's be real here. We're doing a mock draft to see how many picks we can get right. I think we're gonna get a few, but
What are you thinking though? I mean,
that's-
they used the why can't I think of his name? The tight end. They didn't pay him. Dalton Schultz, right?
Schultz, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't
I
pay
think
him.
the Cowboys need a lot more than just a tight end. I'll be honest with you. I think they are good on the wide receiver front. They're good on the running back front. Tony Pollard's good. Let's not forget about him. I think the Osiris guy is a good pick, and I already picked him, so I don't know if we can go back.
It is Dallas though, so I was thinking like I could see them.
Yeah, they do. They always go big on
tight
the
end
line,
and being like, "Whoa, like we're the greatest!" Like we picked a tight end, and like they'll just have them like, yeah. I just always feel like you said, it's America's team, so like. This is something that always happens if I can have a small tangent real fast about with the Saints. When the Saints come on to pick, they go to commercial. It happens every year. No matter, we could have the first pick in the draft, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to commercial." It's like, "Oh my god, Dallas!" They're going to be showing Jerry Jones. They're going to be showing 7 different guys they might pick. They're going to be at the guy's house with his mom, and the dad. He's going to be wearing a Cowboys hat. You know, it's all that type of stuff. So that would be my only thing for saying they might pick Michael Mayer, but I did have O-line circled on here too because when they were really at their best, even though they didn't win any Super Bowls or anything, when they were really offensively at their best, they had a really stud O-line. So give me Osiris Torrance.
Good pick.
Take him off the board.
All right, 27. Got the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills. I think they're pretty set at a lot of positions. I think behind Stephon Diggs, though, they don't have too much. They're trying to make this dude Gabe Davis a thing, and he just won't. He won't become a thing.
Injuries, man. It's a real thing.
I think we're going to do a little bit of reaching here. And take Josh Downs from North Carolina. I'm going to pass up Hyatt for one reason. I think Hyatt is a long play guy. I think they have that already with Stephon Diggs. They don't really need that. Josh Downs is more of a possession guy, and I think he's the one that's going to get picked here. A little bit of a reach, but I think, there's always some reaches in the first round.
Yep, I agree. And look at this. Brian Branch, a very seriously stud safety, is dropping. And look, the Saints could take that dude, honestly.
That's a Saints pick. I mean, a safety, but that's the one thing we probably don't need. That's somebody we'll pick. So
hey, but who's the last Saints safety we had from Alabama? Roman Harper. I mean, the dude was pretty good for us. He couldn't catch, but I mean, the dude was a stout run defender, so it might be in the cards for us. Who you got here at
Cincinnati Bengals, bro?
Oh, I'm on the clock. My
Cincinnati Bengals, yeah.
That's
our sister
favorite player,
kind of like from Joe Burrow, yeah.
Yeah, my favorite player, Joe Burrow. So I mean, I'd love to get the guy some weapons.
But let's be real here. Let's see. We all know what the Bengals need.
He needs some O-line. So go to.
I'm not even going to show you anybody else but the tackles. You have.
Yeah, I really was going to say this Oklahoma guy anyway. Man, but then they got Jawan Jones, who's from Ohio State. I know they like to kind of get freaky like that, but this Anton Harrison dude, he's been really good for. He was kind of like the anchor of the Sooners line this year. So I say put him on the board. Anton Harrison can't go wrong protecting the franchise.
To protect Joe Shiesty. Get him.
Because if they don't protect him, he's coming down to the bayou.
I mean, let's just be real here. They would have won. They'd have made the Super Bowl again if he had any kind of protection last year. He lost in the AFC Championship to Mahomes, and he was getting sacked every other play. I hate it.
I mean, just think about what he does when he doesn't have a line.
Right.
He's still a beast.
Super Bowl.
Get the guy a line. He'll probably win more Super Bowls than Brady.
Dude, you're telling me. So I'm on the clock for our New Orleans Saints. I think since we're both fans, I think I'll tell you who I want to pick, and we'll put that on the board. But then I think you should pick somebody too, or if you disagree with me, you never know. I don't think I'm going to go a boring pick here. By boring, I mean defensive line or offensive line. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't make myself do it. We're going to wait all night long. We're going to wait till pick 29 to
we're trading back. Honestly,
they're going to pick some. They're going to pick some guy we've never heard of. Let's be honest. He's going to be some blue collar player. We're going to be like, who's this guy? But for the sake of a fun time, I'm going to go ahead and either pick Michael Mayer or I'm going to throw a curveball here and take Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a Kamara style guy. Kamara's probably going to jail. You never know. He's at least going for a couple weeks. He's going to be suspended. So take this guy, Jahmyr Gibbs. The dude's good. He's fast. He can catch. He's a prototypical Saints running back. We just got Jamal Williams. It'll be Jamal and Jahmyr. JJ going hard in the paint for the Saints.
I mean, let's take a beat to talk about this for a second since it's our team. I'll tell you what, if we do go ahead and make a pick like that, like I said earlier with the first-round picks getting that fifth-round option, and now I'm wearing his jersey. I love the guy. I think he's got a great personality. I think he's a good person, too. Maybe he beat up a guy, but, I mean, sometimes you got to swing, you know. But here's the deal. I see we could really trade him. I mean, he's got a serious contract. We're always trying to get under the cap. If a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs comes to us, I mean, what could we get for an Alvin Kamara? You know,
I want to be honest with you.
Second, third round.
Kamara is one of my favorite players. I won't have trade talks with him.
He will not be traded. I'm just trying to tell you, the Saints. You know how it is. They're going to go to commercial. They're going to come back, and Kamara's going to be on a whole other team, and we're going to be like, "What happened?"
If somebody takes Kamara with a 6-game suspension looming, I mean, then it just wasn't meant to be. I just don't see it happening. I think the city of New Orleans will erupt.
I'll tell you what, since you said you wanted me to make my pick, looking at this Brian Branch guy, like we just kind of said earlier, we got some safeties on our team, but I'll tell you what, it was tough. It's been tough for a long time to watch our Saints defense because it always feels like if there's a minute left and the other team's down by 6, my heart is going to come out of my chest, man, because it's just like they just run that hurry up offense. And it's like, what are we doing? We already got Lattimore, you know, I love some Lattimore. So we got a good DB, but if we get a guy in that
I think Alante Taylor's pretty good too.
Because look, Tyrann Mathieu's going to come up and play nickel, or he's going to, be a run stopper. So I wouldn't mind having a Brian Branch. But if we're being honest, the Saints are probably taking this Clemson guy. I got the clicker on here, Brian Bryce or something, you know.
I think if it falls like this, it'll probably be this either Brian Bryce or Kalijah Kancey. Or like I said, I could just scroll down to like the 60th pick and we'll pick one of these guys. That's probably where we're going to go.
That was so good. You picked right on the guy too. Like
right.
So I've been actually seeing Will McDonald right there, the edge from Iowa State, mock to us as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's just picking best available. Mozzie Smith, that's another guy I've been seeing. That's a possibility. It's just they're just picking best available defensive lineman at our pick, and that's who most people that are casuals are going to say. I think our defensive line is not the best. I don't think it's a need that we have to address in the first round. We can find other guys. There's other people.
What did we spend 3 first-round picks on Peyton Turner? And, I guess the other dude's gone now. But still, I mean, we spent all these picks on these dudes. Let's put them in the game and see if they can do something, you know? So I'm with you on that.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. We can talk about the Saints all day long, but we'll move on to the Eagles. They got another pick. This is their actual pick. They picked the first pick. They picked Christian Gonzalez, a very good cornerback. I talked to our friend Marlon, big old Eagles fan. He thinks O-line or D-line for both of those picks. So I think it's actually your pick, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I'm with you on that. I was agreeing with it. Like another team, kind of like what we were saying with the Lions, when you anchor your team in the trenches, it's a recipe for success. So I'm taking Kalijah Kancey. This dude is a monster, dude. He's gonna eat up. He's gonna eat up double teams, and he's gonna get those edge rushers free to be able to rush the passer. I like that pick right there for them. If I was an Eagles fan, I would be super stoked with Christian Gonzalez and Kalijah Kancey as my two picks. I mean, I can't think of anything better. You want to win the Super Bowl, but to lose the Super Bowl and then make those 2 picks, the Saints need to be getting some Christmas gifts in the mail or something, dude. I mean, we're making it easy on them over here.
They owe us for sure. All right, Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champs. I mean, they just won a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes leading the team. They had Kadarius Toney. He's okay, but he gets hurt a lot. I think they're going to go receiver because, I mean, let's make the rich get richer. They're going to get that big play guy. They're going to get that Jalen Hyatt guy. They're going to get he's a big play waiting to happen. He's very good at football. I like it. And I think that's the pick. Was that the last pick?
Yeah, since Miami didn't have a pick, there's only 31 this year. That's actually one thing I wanted to go over with, and I don't hate that pick. I would say I think it'll fall differently in the real draft with trades and stuff. I don't really think Jalen Hyatt is a first round wide receiver, but with who's available, I can see that happening.
I think I was reading something earlier that said they were going to trade up for I think Gibbs actually and Zamir the Flowers.
Zay Flowers, yeah.
Yeah, Zay Flowers.
I definitely think they would, because I mean he's kind of a Tyreek Hill type, He's got vertical, he's fast. I could see them trading up for him for sure. One thing, real quick, before we jump out of this, we can jump off of that. But Miami, LA Rams, San Francisco, Cleveland, and Denver, no first round picks this year. So just wanted to mention those teams because we're gonna have viewers from everywhere. Sorry we couldn't get to y'all. Maybe don't trade away your first round picks. One thing that's crazy to say, the LA Rams have not made a first round pick since 2016. Who was that first round pick? Do you remember?
Was it Jared Goff?
Boom. You're right. It was Jared Goff. And now he's on a whole other team.
They did go to the Super Bowl, though.
I don't want to talk about that.
If that was the I know.
The refs
right? Yeah,
took them to the Super Bowl.
That's another
Make a comment in the comments if you think the refs took them to the Super Bowl that year, okay? Because I think they did. But yeah,
just in case everyone knows, that's the no call year. We don't like to talk about it because that's going to be a whole other show. We'll talk for an hour on that. Well, yeah, that was our first mock draft. That was our first episode of hopefully a long fantasy podcast season. We're going to try to do 2 episodes a week, like as I was saying earlier. I'm not sure when the next one will be. That's a conversation that me and him will have. We'd like to thank Fantasy Podcast, this Fantasy Six Pack Podcast one more time.
Look, go on YouTube, type in Fantasy Six Pack, subscribe, click the notification bell, all right? Because
become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack to get the access to the award-winning rankings, draft sheets.
Because it's not just us, too. It's not just us Saints fans over there. They got guys over there who are deep into fantasy baseball. If you're into fantasy baseball, you need to be checking out. I was watching the live stream the other night with our guy Joe Bond, and they were talking some serious.
Shout out to Joe Bond because he really helped us set this up. Joe Bond's a cool guy. Everybody go follow this guy. Go to Fantasy Six Pack YouTube. We're about to make this a big thing. Me and my boy Blake, like I said, we've known each other since college. We've been trying to do something like this for a long time. We're going to make this happen. We're going to make this successful. Under God's eye, we can make this happen. And
who dat?
Yeah. You got anything else to say before we sign off?
Who dat? And look, a couple of these episodes we're going to have coming up are going to definitely be about me and Eric's what we think our prowess is in fantasy. If I can just say for you, if y'all want to know about Eric, DM Eric on Twitter some of your trades, okay? Because this dude is a trade god, all right?
I appreciate it. I like to hear that thing.
He makes the trades, all right? I like to think I'm a solid drafter and I make really good lineup choices, but this dude, if you're on his team, you should be scared because he's going to trade you, all right? And he's going to get something back that's even better, all right? I think he's had the first round pick in in a couple of our leagues a couple times in a row, the rookie drafts, while also winning. So you're telling me the guy's winning and he's getting the first round pick? DM Eric Sonnier on Twitter some of your trades and he'll try to help you out. All right. I think he's got open DMs for that. And look, you can DM me, but I'll just tell you don't trade them because I like to keep the guys I draft. That's kind of my thing.
I was going to say, DM Blake if you don't want to reply. You probably won't be sending it back. Hopefully with this podcast, so I'll get him to text me back because he doesn't want to get that trade thing going with him because he knows it'll happen.
Look, I mean, let's go. We can bust a couple minutes out on here. I'll get with you on one right here. I'm not going to go through the whole team or anything, but if you got another couple of minutes, you want to talk about it for a second?
I think we're getting close to the hour mark.
54 minutes. Two minutes on this. 2 minutes.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
You know our buddy Connor. We also went to college. He was our college roommate. He wants me to trade him Nick Chubb. He's not offering me anything I really want. He's wanting me to trade him Nick Chubb. If you're trading for Nick Chubb, what are you thinking? If you're giving away Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb's a little old. This is
27.
He's talking about
turning 28 this year.
He is getting a little old, but it's still Nick Chubb and he's a beast. I don't think you've seen that Connor just made a huge trade
in that league
while we were shooting this episode.
Oh yeah, he actually texted me saying I've got another first round pick to trade you. I'm just like, dude, you need to trade me.
Me too.
I told him I want 2 first round picks.
Black. He said, "Send that gross red and black 1.1 over to me, homie." He's talking about Bijan going to the Falcons. So that's a big no because if Jahmyr Gibbs goes to the Saints, he'll be pick one. He'll be the number one pick. But as I was saying, we're at the end of the show. We'll talk about this some more in the next episode. We'll start getting into our leagues of the future. We are in a few leagues together. We'll talk about all that going forward. I'm your host, Eric Sonnier, with my boy, Blake Gambino.
The co-host.
We are tapping out.
Tap out.
Peace.